prophecies and conspiracies. Peering into darkness is what we do. Derek and Sharon Gilbert break it all down for you.
Closing out the month of May. Welcome to the program. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert, and welcome to our living room, everybody. We are so glad you're here. If you've just discovered PID Radio, it stands for Peering into Darkness, and we take a look at headlines and try to figure out what's going on spiritually in the background.
Also, if you've just joined us, please take a moment and download our free app. We've got versions for mobile devices, iOS, Android, Amazon, Kindle Fire, and for smart TVs and set-top boxes like Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, Google TV, Android TV. We're taking over all the TVs, one platform at a time.
We can make any TV just as dumb as a box of rocks.
That's right. Forget the smart TV. We're going to indemnify it faster than you can click that remote. You'll find links at pidradio.com/app or gilberthouse.org/app, gilberthouse.org being our main web hub. But of course, we've been at pidradio.com since March of 2005.
You remember when we were first trying to figure out how to do a website back in those frontier days of the
the Wild West of the interwebs?
It was crazy. We had a friend who actually built websites, and he came over and showed us a few things. But then along came WordPress.
Yeah. We used Adobe Dreamweaver back in the day.
We did.
Yeah.
In fact, we built websites for a radio station.
Yeah, the radio group that I went to work for back in 2006 when I had my midlife crisis. I had to get out of selling steel and went into talk radio, spent a year and a half as a talk radio host and program director of a station in Columbia, Missouri.
You were really good at that, and because of, they sort of allowed you to do what you chose to do, which was amazing. And on Fridays, you had Off-Road Friday, and you had guests that were more like PID Radio.
Yeah, and the title of the program, Off-Road Friday, was because the program in the afternoon, I did the afternoon drive shift, so named because it was during, drive time.
So it was called The Drive.
So it was called, we just called the show The Drive. And then Friday we just went off-road because I figured by Friday afternoon, people getting off work on Friday were in kind of a different mindset. Mm-hmm. And so we just did some different stuff and was able to bring people like Tom Horn, L.A. Marzulli, Russ Dizdar.
Dan Marvin.
Colonel Dan Marvin. Author of a book called Expendable Elite.
Yes. We still have that book. I think we've got at least one, if not a couple, of PID radio interviews with Dan Marvin that you could post on Wayback Wednesday.
Or Throwback Thursday. Because that's when PID radio is. Wayback Wednesdays for View from the Bunker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But and we'll talk about those coming up because we've got a really interesting episode that was just posted to PID radio on this past Thursday, the Throwback Thursday episode. And next Thursday's Throwback Thursday episode will likewise be very interesting. So, we've done some stuff going back 20 years that we're bringing back again because you may be new to the program, or even if you've been following us for 10 years, you may not know the stuff we were doing 20 years ago.
Yeah, we've been around for 21 years. We probably are the longest continuously produced podcast on the internet.
Yeah. But certainly not the most popular by far.
No, hardly.
Yeah, we gave up that dream probably by episode 3, I think.
Yeah.
But no, we're glad you're with us and glad you kind of follow us along in our musings as we try to make sense of the world through a biblical lens, through a supernatural lens, really, which should be the default setting of Christians. But here in the United States, especially the Western world, we've kind of desupernaturalized the Bible, which is kind of what's led us to the research and the writing that we've been doing for the last 10 years since we joined Skywatch TV and can devote full time to this.
And our good friend L.A. Marzulli, he often does secular radio, and when he is on there, he refers to the supernatural, the guide to the supernatural.
Yeah, the guidebook to the supernatural.
Guidebook, exactly, which is the Bible.
Right.
But by putting it that way, which it truly is, the guidebook to the supernatural, because you can answer any question.
Yeah.
Any question.
Especially when you dig into the original Hebrew and Greek, and you find that there are more references to the supernatural in the Bible than most of us have been taught.
Dragons, giants, all sorts of vampires.
Yeah, there are
Possibly even
references.
werewolves.
Yeah, there are references to those, and again, they've been kind of concealed in the translation. There's a reference in Proverbs 30:15 to something called the horse leech or the leech. But when you read into the Hebrew is a cognate for an Akkadian word, and the kingdom of Akkad, which was probably based around modern Baghdad. Very powerful kingdom, an empire. Sargon the Great turned it into an empire in the 24th century BC. But the Akkadian became the diplomatic language of the ancient Near East, sort of like French through the 19th century, lingua franca, and English in the 20th and 21st centuries. That word in Akkadian referred to a supernatural, blood-sucking creature, which is why there's an entry in the Dictionary of Deities and Demons in the Bible, which is a very scholarly work for vampire, which you wouldn't expect. Like, wait, vampire in the Bible? Yeah, in Proverbs 30:15. It's not a leech. It's something supernatural that sucks your blood.
Well, speaking of that kind of thing, there is a story that was released over the last few days, a report, a news report that is sparking outrage across the world.
Okay.
Here's the headline: White House sparks outrage after revealing the true purpose of aliens.gov.
Yeah, this was hilarious. This was just the other night when they started releasing releasing links to it. And when you go to the website, aliens.gov, you see they walk among us. And then this scrolling typewriter font: for 60 years, the U.S. government has kept a closely guarded secret. Aliens have been walking among us, living in our neighborhoods and interacting with us in our daily lives. They've shopped in the same stores, attended the same classes as our children, and lived seemingly normal human existences. With one exception: they do not belong here. Millions arrived under the cover of darkness and embedded themselves directly into our society. Countless presidents, congressmen, and senior officials knew exactly what was happening. Instead of protecting American citizens, they chose to cover it up. It even accelerated the invasion until one man finally had the courage to tell the truth. Bold, unapologetic, unafraid. President Trump was the first to call out and so it goes on, and you scroll down and you finally realize, oh, wait a minute, he's talking about illegal aliens.
Illegal immigrants.
Yes. And then there's an interactive map that shows how many arrests have been made by the Department of Homeland Security and Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and exactly where they were when they were arrested and how many have been arrested. So I'm looking at the little map here, tapping on the map. Springfield, Missouri, 234 total arrests. And then the criminal charges in the countries of origin: Bahamas, Brazil, Chile, China, Colombia, Cuba, on and on and on. But even in our little section of, so where's that one? Well, anyway. So
under our front porch?
Under our front porch, yes. Apparently we've got a mother cat and 3 kittens who've decided to, at least 3, that have decided to take up residence.
Yeah, I've only seen 3. Now there may only be 3. She's a beautiful tortoise shell, which tortoise shells are almost always, it's a coat pattern, not a breed. They're almost always like very, very rare males. They're nearly all female because it's carried on the X chromosome. And it's just the mosaic way that, if you know anything about genetics, you know that every cell has, in a female, one of the X's is used and the other one is sort of stored. It chooses which X chromosome it's going to use in every cell. which is why if you only have one X chromosome and it's got a mutation on it, then you might be in trouble. Which is why men can inherit issues that are on the X chromosome, because XY, you've got no second X to, okay, you sleep now.
Yeah, you just go there and just...
Each cell just chooses which one's going to use, and I think it's probably, I'm going to use the better one of these two. But anyway,
Makes
yes,
sense.
we've got a tortoiseshell mama and looks like 3 tortoiseshell kittens.
Yeah.
So probably all 3 female.
And Sharon has shared the photos to Facebook, and there are many cat lovers out there with tender hearts who are saying, "Oh, the cat has chosen you." And I have a cat allergy, so
Yeah,
I'm
he
sorry,
really
the
is
cat and the
allergic
kittens
to
are not
cats.
coming in.
And Derek's got enough issues anyway, and having
With
a
the
cat
pulmonary
underfoot.
stuff, you can hear in
Yeah.
the
Oh, yes. So we cannot bring these kittens in.
Yeah.
We cannot. I love cats. I do. I grew up with cats and dogs. I don't mind, especially a barn cat, but with those kittens out there and knowing that we have raccoons in our yard,
Right.
they need to go to a rescue or
Right.
to someone who wants to adopt them. If you live in our area, then please let me know.
Yeah, Southwest Missouri. We are about in 45 minutes, hour southwest of Springfield.
They're sweet.
Drove down to Shell Knob to give away another cat that had
Guillermo.
Guillermo, that had taken up residence on our back deck.
And we had him here for months,
Yeah.
and he decided that he wanted to start coming in because he was really getting tame, and that's when we realized we cannot keep him as a barn cat. We need to find
Yeah.
him an indoor home. And this wonderful lady who's one of her cats had just passed away, so
Right.
she wanted companion for her other cat.
Yeah, and Guillermo was very, very tame. He went into the little travel
Yeah.
cage, and
He was a sweet cat.
Yeah, he was.
If you didn't have an
Oh,
allergy,
hilarious.
we would have kept him, but yeah.
yeah, he was playing with stuff out there that we couldn't see.
Oh, no.
It's like, okay.
We got him a little trampoline out there, and a little house, and he was just living life large out
Yeah,
on
it's
the
like,
deck.
well, it'd be a lot more comfortable in air conditioning.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so we will not be calling ICE on
No, we
Mama
probably
K.
might call
So you-
mice.
Yes, there we go.
Missouri.
The Missouri Immigrations and Customs Enforcement,
Yeah.
MICE. Sharon has named the cat Portia since she's on the porch. Perfect name. And so anyway, but so people who thought that the run up to, the government saying disclosure's coming, we're talking about disclosure, and the Daily Mail, which is out of the UK, has been running stories almost every day. Sources inside the Trump administration say they're concerned about how people will, and they were feeding that information out there, leading to the website aliens.gov.
And the headline I just read to you was
Yeah.
from the Daily Mail. So someone
Yeah.
at the Mail's like, hey,
Yeah, they realize they've been played.
nobody trolls like Donald Trump.
No, I've got to say, like them or not, you got to admit the social media team for the webs. Now they've done some things that, okay, if you could have
I
a
know.
do-over, don't post or share. I mean, they don't have control over what people out in social media world decide that they're going to create. Oh, let's create this image of Donald Trump healing the sick.
Yeah.
No, that's just mildly blasphemous. But social media team at the White House, don't share stuff like that.
He's got a young social media team,
Right.
and oftentimes they take those things down pretty quickly.
Yeah, but the whole aliens.gov thing was pretty hilarious. Speaking, though, of aliens, we've got to talk about the film coming out in just 2 weeks, Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. That is something that is probably going to be a cultural phenomenon like many of his past films have been. I mean, you think about the films that Spielberg has done, he is probably the preeminent storyteller of America for the last 50 years.
Beginning with Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, it even goes back to American Graffiti. He's been doing films for a long time.
Right.
But this may be a far more important film than some of the others he's done, because this is coming at a time when the drumbeat for alien disclosure has been going
Right.
on for several years. And for all I know, Spielberg's team has been behind some of those headlines leading up to this, because it takes a few years to do some of these films, especially the ones that rely heavily upon CGI. But the screenings, the previews, are getting rave reviews.
They are. He's got John Williams, who's done scores for many of his past films.
Wonderful
Some of the
scores.
wonderful themes, too. I mean, you can still hear the music for Raiders of the Lost Ark in your head.
Yep.
Da, 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 da.
And for E.T.
E.T. My goodness, what else has he done that he's...
He also
E.T.,
did,
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
but he also did Poltergeist.
Poltergeist. Gosh.
So he's done a lot of
Jurassic Park.
supernatural. Yeah.
The miniseries called Taken.
Taken was really interesting. Boy, we should find that and watch it again. I think it was a 6-part series.
Yeah, I think so too. I remember when it was out. You could maybe add War of the Worlds, but that really is not kind of the same. I mean, he was just basically
He also
doing a
did
film
Super 8, which was about an
Super
alien
8,
invasion.
right.
And many of his films, E.T. aside, many of the films show aliens as hostile,
Yeah.
including Super 8.
Yes. Looking at the movies, just the movies that he's directed, Ready Player One, which dealt with virtual reality. Let's see, what else has he done here? The Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, not his best work.
Yeah.
Minority Report.
Oh my goodness, that one is iconic.
Yeah.
About pre-crime.
Right. And how just one of the scenes in there that really struck me when the character played by Tom Cruise walked into a mall and he was seeing all of these ads that were directed specifically to him and calling him out by name.
That's come true.
And we've seen, with geofencing. Saw that more than 10 years ago when we were traveling from Illinois to a conference. We stopped in St. Louis and had dinner with our daughter.
Oh
and
my
had
gosh,
dinner.
that was the funniest lunch ever. You suddenly slapped the table and Nicole and I just stared at you like, what? Because you
And-
never do emotional outbursts like that. And
No.
you said, no pants.
Yeah.
I forgot to pack pants.
All I had were, shorts, very casual wear, which not really appropriate when you're speaking at a conference. This was for a Prophecy Watchers conference. I think we were going to Colorado Springs.
Yes, we were.
And so Nicole said, I got this. So she took me to the outlet mall. And as we approached the mall, we parked and, she and I were walking into the outlet mall and she suddenly got a text message. Hi, Nicole, 15% off at such and such store. Once she stepped foot on the sidewalk around the outlet mall. So that's kind of a low-tech version of what was being displayed in Minority Report. But
But that was a good 10 years ago.
Oh, 15.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time
10,
ago.
yeah, probably,
But
yeah.
we are now at the point where it's not uncommon at all to be on social media and get curated ads simply because you have said something
Right.
near your phone.
Yeah. So the point is Spielberg has always been way out ahead of where the culture was. Most of his stories, when you think about it, were either set in the past, like, The Color Purple. Indiana Jones. He did the Twilight Zone movie, directed that, or one of the segments anyway.
Yeah, just one.
but,
There are 3 directors for it.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Jaws. I forgot about Jaws, 1975. So you look at all of these stories that he has told that have had such a powerful impact on our society.
For 50 years.
Yeah. And the fact that he's come out of retirement to make this film after doing 2 of the iconic films about First Contact, E.T. and then Close Encounters of the Third Kind, both of which were kind of set, retro. Or E.T. was almost like a, story of a divorce whose kids were, the kids were then...
Yeah, but Close Encounters wasn't really retro. I mean, they were set in current time, I think, both of them.
Yeah,
they just feel like they're retro
right.
because you're
because
thinking
we're looking
back.
back now from 2026. But many of his other films, like Minority Report, set in the future, and Indiana Jones, that series set in the past.
Super 8 was set in the past because it was essentially his childhood.
Yeah. I watched a couple of interviews with him last night, and one of them recommended by Mark Warren, who was become a friend and really helped us out on our 2023 tour of Israel, because we had 3 buses.
Yes.
And he led the third bus because he brought like 30 people with him.
I know.
So God bless you, Mark, and thank you for pointing this out. Spielberg said in the interview that it was very important to set the movie coming out on the 12th of June. Yeah, 6/12, 666. I don't think that was intentional, but these, in the unseen realm, they're kind of going nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Well, June for a summer movie is a typical release date. But
what day of the week? 12th. Well, it just happens to be on a Friday, so that okay.
They get the weekend numbers.
Yep. He said it was important to set it in the present day because he wanted it to have that feel, that to convey the sense to people, to viewers, that this is happening. And he said in another interview with, I think, Fandango, which is one of the big ticket selling operations out there, that when he made Close Encounters and E.T., he was of a mind that he wished that this could be true. Whereas now, 40, 50 years on, he's at a place where he believes that this is true. In other words, that we are about to be visited by E.T., and he wants to convey that sense to people. He also said he thinks that making first contact would help humans become more empathetic, that this would be a good thing for humankind to encounter a superior alien race. In one quote from, I had the bookmark here, and now
how is that going to make us more empathetic? A superior alien race showing up and not knowing how they look. Let's just assume that they exist. You and I don't believe in that. At least I don't.
I don't.
No. Okay. We don't believe that there are creatures on other planets who have built, some sort of spacecraft or ability to create a Heisenberg. Anyway, one of those portals.
Wormhole.
Wormhole, one of those bridges that allows you to fold space the way Herbert wrote in Dune. No, we don't believe in that. But this has happened before. Genesis 6 is all about an alien race coming down to Earth and, frankly, enslaving mankind.
Yeah, if you phrase it as inhuman intelligence or inhuman entities coming to visit us. And I notice now they're moving away from the phrase ET, extraterrestrial, or ETI, extraterrestrial intelligence. Now the acronym is NHI, non-human intelligence.
Oh, I see.
So they're, okay, well, all right, you're speaking our language.
Genesis 6.
Non-human intelligences have been interacting with humanity since the garden.
Exactly. Watcher class angels came down to Mount Hermon and saw the daughters of men and thought they're pretty and took those that they chose.
Einstein-Rosen bridge.
Rosenberg.
Rosen. Albert Einstein and Nathan Rosen.
Oh, well, there you go.
1935. theoretical warping of space-time so extreme it forms a continuous tunnel. Oh, yeah, Einstein
Folding
Rosen.
space.
Yeah. So this is what Spielberg is attempting to communicate with this film. And his skill as a director is obvious, even in just the trailers. There's one sequence that they've used in the trailers now that shows a deer or an elk, some sort of, looks like a deer, a buck. Little girl wakes up and she's looking and she sees a deer in her room, and suddenly a cardinal flies in, and then they cut to a different angle, and you see from behind the girl looking at the deer and the cardinal sitting on its horn and a raccoon sitting on the chair in the room. But then at the end of the trailer, it shows the deer and it closes in on the eye, and then it pans across the face to where it goes from the right eye to the left eye, and then when it pulls back, it's an alien gray looking down over the little girl.
Yes.
Who's on a gurney.
Yeah, you didn't even have to say that. I kind of figured that was going on.
Right.
This is a Vicki Joy Anderson topic because screen memories are often how these things are described. You think that you've been visited by an animal, you think you've gone to a certain place, when in fact you have been, your sleep time has been interrupted by what you and I believe are actually hostile fallen angels and or demons. And that kind of talk will get you, people that don't believe in these things will make fun of you, but the fact is a lot of people worldwide are experiencing this kind of thing.
Right.
Sometimes nightly.
Yeah. And Vicki Joy Anderson, the author of the book, They Only Come Out at Night.
Highly recommend that book.
Yeah. If you or someone you know is dealing with night terrors or sleep paralysis, that's a book that you really should have, or a gift to the person who's dealing with it, because she goes into the research showing that this is a spiritual attack, but also then presents some practical prayers. I mean, not that it's a formula that if you say this, everything will be well, but it's just a format, if you will. Pray this type of thing, not say these exact little words like it's a ritual.
No, but we often talk about certain exorcistic verses in the Bible. There are even exorcistic hymns. Our good friend, Dr.
Reverend Dr. Robert Bennett.
Yes, exactly. He wrote a book called I Am Not Afraid, and it's about the church in Madagascar. And how that church had been growing, and it's because they understood spiritual warfare. And again, this PID radio, Peering into Darkness. So this movie coming out is an important marker for the way civilization is going and what our belief system, how it's being altered.
A couple of quotes from Spielberg during these interviews. Quote, "If the unknown is known by a very few, but not everybody, the inequity of that is what first got me to sit down and start writing the story." Disclosure, yeah. The consequences of a real first disclosure is going to have to take into consideration the social dislocation that essentially the trauma and all the theological questions that are going to come up, end quote. Another, quote, "I was raised to believe in a supreme being, and now you're showing us supreme beings."
He's Jewish.
Yeah. Well, he is,
I don't know if he's a practicing Jew, but he was raised in it.
Yeah. Well, I've never seen him wear a kippah.
No.
So he could be reformed, but who knows? Anyway, this is coming out in just a couple of weeks. Now, several months ago, there were some pastors, teachers, evangelists who were called into meetings in Tennessee by an independent UFO research group with the idea of presenting to them various theories as to what UFOs are, what aliens are. And whenever we say aliens, just assume the air quotes, because again, we're talking non-human intelligences. In other words, fallen angels and or demons. And because of the way that information was leaked out and then was sensationalized by somebody who got a hold of a video of one of our friends and made it look as though this was some sort of secret government meeting, which it was not. It just happened to be a meeting at which our congressman from here in Southwest Missouri, Representative Eric Burleson, called in to commend the pastors for educating themselves so they could educate their congregations about this so-called disclosure movement.
Yes. Well, the friend you're talking about is Pastor Larry Ragland.
Right.
And he's going to be at the conference in Springfield, Missouri in August.
Right.
So if you are interested in this and you would like to actually talk to him about it,
Right.
then go.
Yeah. Jamie Walden was there too, and he will also be at the conference in August.
Yes. So I imagine we will be talking about this
Yeah.
at some point during that conference.
I would expect, if not during the conference, then on the sidelines for sure. This has become a subject where other Christian pastors, well-meaning, I have no doubt, are being very critical of them. And others include, say, Alan DiDio, another friend of ours who was part of one of these meetings. And Alan has been talking about this quite a bit on his podcast called Revival Nation. But, you and I have been talking about this for a long time. L.A. Marzulli's been talking about this a long time. In fact, later today, I'll be interviewing Guy Malone and Joe Jordan.
Oh, good.
For next week's View from the Bunker episode. And that will be, I'm sure, one of the things that we discuss. And I know they've got opinions about the meetings as well and the way they were put out there. But it's good that it's become a topic of discussion, because this is one of those things where people who have not really thought much about it may assume, like Spielberg does, that actual disclosure, or even a fake disclosure that looks really convincing, would shake the faith of a lot of people. Because if you've been raised to believe that, God is supreme, and then suddenly something enters reality or appears to enter reality that is that we've never been taught can be addressed from the Bible, people may assume, well, wait a minute, I can't fit this into my worldview, so I have to reframe my worldview to exclude God, because now the Bible is wrong. And that is incorrect. First of all, when God in Genesis 1 says, let us make man in our image, he's not saying that we look like God or God looks like us. It means we are his standard bearers. We bear his image. We are his moral agents on earth. And that wouldn't change even if there is legitimate extraterrestrials out there. We are still his image bearers on earth.
Right.
But
we don't personally believe that there are aliens on other planets.
I think God would have warned us about that.
It would have been in the
but also the scientific, the technical issues of traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as we're done with this topic, there's another one that's sort of related that I want to get to, just warning.
Okay. But anyway, that's basically what this boils down to. If you have a proper understanding of what it means to be an image bearer of God, then the actual existence of ET, which again, we do not believe there are actual ETs out there. But even if, say, an NHI, fallen angels, land on the White House lawn and claim to be from Epsilon Eridani or whatever, then it's like, okay, great. We're still image bearers of God on earth. And who do you say Jesus is? Exactly.
Mention the name of Jesus Christ and try to share the gospel with them, and their head will explode.
Yeah, if that happens, then they've outed themselves. So anyway, yes, looking forward to seeing the film because it's probably spectacular, but looking at it through a Christian lens.
Yeah, we won't go to the movies. We don't
we'll
go
wait
to the
until
theater.
It's streaming.
We'll wait till it's on streaming.
Yeah.
Connected story?
Yes.
Okay, bit of a left turn. The left turn goes into Bible prophecy. The idea that the king of the uttermost north, what you and I believe, is referring to the deity who reigns from Yatakate Zephon. That actually means uttermost north. It's an actual mountain in Turkey.
Right.
Okay, here's the headline. Convicted spy Jonathan Pollard is warning Israel. Apparently, Jonathan Pollard, who was released from the United States holding system to go back to Israel, he has been sharing his opinions on podcasts and in interviews, and he has said, quote, "We, being Israel, have to be prepared for the next war, which will probably be against Turkey, and Egypt." He says, quote, "The storm is coming."
Yeah.
Now, what's ironic about that is that the head of the pantheons in mythology is always the storm deity.
Right, and that mountain that you're referring to, Mount Zaphon, was, everyone in the ancient world knew that's where Baal's palace was located, and Baal was the storm god.
Yeah, exactly.
The equivalent
Another
of Zeus
name for
or Jupiter.
Satan.
Satan, yeah, Matthew
Jesus
12,
referred
beginning
to
of
him
verse
as Satan.
22,
Yeah.
right.
So this entity, is it possible that we are getting a hint of fulfillment of Bible prophecy? Because we're looking at the activities in the Middle East right now, which is very unstable, to say the least. And Erdogan is not getting any younger. He is the head of Turkey. He took Turkey away from going in a very Western direction to a very Islamist direction. More accurately, though, a Turkish version of Islamism.
Well, yeah.
Turkey was the head of the Ottoman Empire for centuries.
Yeah, and the center of the Islamic world was Istanbul rather than Mecca,
Right.
Riyadh, Damascus, Baghdad, places where it had been over the last 1,400
And
years.
he wants to return Turkey to those glory days.
Yeah, he wants to put the band back together. Erdogan, saw this Visegrad 24, one of the X accounts we follow. Actually, it's from the Mossad commentary X account, saying, quote, "God willing, this tyrant called Netanyahu will receive the lesson he deserves from the Muslims of the world," close quote. So he is threatening Netanyahu, which he's been doing for a while.
He has been. And you might think, well, he'll be voted out of office eventually. Oh,
Oh, my sweet summer child.
that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
As long as he has control of the military and control of the judicial system.
Yeah.
He's been jailing his opponents.
Yeah. So Pollard is probably not wrong about that, because in addition to the threats coming from Erdogan, Egypt has been moving more military assets into the Sinai Peninsula. The last time that happened on a large scale was 1973, the Yom Kippur War.
Yes.
Pollard, let me just say this about Jonathan Pollard, because his imprisonment here in the United States was ostensibly for sharing secret U.S. government secrets with Israel. And there are many who will then point to that as evidence that Israel is not our friend. In the book, The Secret War Against the Jews, interviews with retired intelligence community operatives, authors John Loftus and Mark Ahrens, cover the Pollard incident and found that Pollard, who was working for the U.S. Navy, he was, I think, naval intelligence. It wasn't even in intelligence. He was just a U.S. Navy officer, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he was an intelligence officer,
because
at least openly.
No, what the old spies, as Loftus and Ahrens called them, told the authors about Pollard was that he was an amateur who got in over his head. He stumbled onto illegal weapons shipments from the United States to Iran, which today we now refer to as the Iran-Contra scandal. This is the Iran portion of the Iran-Contra scandal.
Right, in the Reagan administration.
Right. What was going on was an effort by the Reagan administration to try to ransom the head, the CIA chief of station in Beirut, who'd been abducted by Hezbollah, which of course is a proxy of the Iranian regime. So the United States was going to send weapons to Iran to try to get the guy out of the clutches of Hezbollah.
We've been bribing Iran for a long time, haven't we?
We have. The Reagan administration obviously didn't want Congress or the Democrats to know that this was what was going on. So when Pollard started sharing this information with Israel and they found out about it, they put Pollard in a deep, dark hole because they did not want it getting out that the United States was trying to do a deal with the country that had kidnapped the entire diplomatic staff of the U.S. Embassy
in
Tehran in 1979.
Exactly.
And held them for over 400 days.
But somehow, prior to the election,
right, the October
Reagan,
surprise.
Yes, exactly. Somehow they got them out. How did they manage to do that?
Still an open question because there'd never been a definitive answer on that, but it would seem that some deal was made behind the scenes to make Jimmy Carter look weak. We'll hold him until after the election. Yeah.
But Bush Sr. was in Paris having talks with somebody in October of that year.
So anyway, Pollard was sharing this information with Israel. He got caught. The Mossad was furious because Pollard was not Mossad. And Mossad did not want to jeopardize its relationship with the United States. As unfaithful a friend as the U.S. has been, and when you look at how the United States treated Israel between, say, even prior to Israel becoming a nation, it treated the Zionist movement from the 20s through 1979. We were still the best friend that Israel had, and really its only friend in the world. So Mossad didn't want to jeopardize that relationship, and here comes Jonathan Pollard bungling his way into information he shouldn't have had access to. I mean, this speaks to a breakdown in security inside the U.S. intelligence community. Embarrasses Israel, embarrasses Mossad, and the United States had offered to send him back to Israel, and Mossad didn't want him. There were nationalist groups. In fact, Mossad, he wasn't even getting the information. Pollard was dealing with right-wing politicians inside the Knesset. And so Mossad was furious. And even though these politicians, and I don't remember their names from the book, wanted the government of Israel to really push for his release, Mossad was like, no, we don't want him. He's an embarrassment. So that's who Jonathan Pollard is.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he is not the master spy that he's been presented over here, and he's not really the national hero that he's been represented in Israel.
Yeah, he's in a gray zone.
He was trying to. He's an Israeli patriot, and he thought he was doing something. He stumbled on information he thought Israel could use, and the Israeli intelligence community was like, "You idiot."
I would say it's entirely possible that someone in the Reagan-Bush administration wanted that information out because they didn't agree with it and therefore made sure that it somehow got to Pollard.
Right. And that led to hearings and, I remember the Iran-Contra hearings with
I watched every minute of that when that was on. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
It was like 1986 or so.
Yeah.
And I just sit there with a cup of coffee watching all of it. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it was astonishing that it got as far as it did. I mean, this convoluted thing, what it boiled down to, the takeaway, and I'd have to go back and reread the book. There's so much information there. You got to read it 3 or 4 times to get it in your head, was that everyone involved with Iran-Contra, including Oliver North, John Poindexter, George H.W. Bush, thought they were a lot better at spycraft than they actually were. And as it turned out, sadly, the guy that they were trying to get out of the hands of Hezbollah was executed. He did not make it, if I remember correctly. So forgive me if I'm getting details wrong, but the sense I got was that everybody involved was humiliated. And like I said, the reason it took so long for Pollard to be repatriated to Israel is that the Israelis, and especially Mossad, did not want him back.
Well, getting back to Erdogan and his desire to reinvigorate and reinvent the Ottoman Empire, it definitely could happen. Turkey sits in a really odd position because Turkey's part and parcel of the European Union in a way. Because they sit right across from Greece.
Yes.
And they also control access to the Black Sea. Access both ways. Both ways. You want to get in, you want to get out. You have to go past, through the Dardanelles and then through the strait there, which is where Istanbul sits.
That's why the Emperor Constantine moved his capital from Rome, because Western Europe at that point in the 4th century had become impoverished. It was really, the wealth was all in the east.
Yes.
And in large part because of not just the wealth of Anatolia, but the access to the Black Sea and all the fertile, croplands and on the north side of the Black Sea.
Yeah, Ukraine has been called the breadbasket of Eastern Europe.
Yes, and not just the breadbasket of Eastern Europe, but also Africa. A lot of Ukrainian grain goes to feed Africa.
That's true. So, I think Erdogan, he sees himself as sitting in a position of great power, but he tries to play both sides, both the Middle Eastern side and the Western side. So he's going to have to choose a side eventually, and it will not be on Israel's side, I can tell you that.
No, that's a fact. There is a rising tide of violent Islam. I will not say radical Islam because
we'll just call it violent.
Violent Islam is fundamentalist. I saw a breakdown on the number of Islamic terror attacks over the last 50 years, and the number over the last decade is substantially higher than it's been in previous decades. So it is ramping up as more Muslims pour into or have relocated to Europe, to North America. The number of those attacks has increased. And even Russia is being Islamified. They had a big Eid al-Adha celebration in Moscow, but also St. Petersburg and other major cities across Russia. And Putin seems to be welcoming it, which is a little bit of a surprise given the trouble that they had with the Chechens years ago. It is, I think, I can only imagine that's because they're trying to bring in people to replace the shrinking population, which may be the reason that so many illegals were welcomed into the United States, although I think that has more to do with propping up the population and thus representation in Congress in states like California and New York and Illinois. But while this is going on, and you've got these massive shifts of population around the world, bringing Muslims in large numbers into Russia, Western Europe, North America, there is a growing movement inside Israel for reclaiming sovereignty, complete sovereignty over the Temple Mount and beginning plans to actually build that third temple.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Along that same line, Trump has been talking to Mohammed bin Salman, who is essentially runs. He's the heir apparent, but he actually runs Saudi Arabia. He would like to do some building that means he needs to make nice with Israel, but Trump has been essentially saying to him, I want you to join the Abraham Accords
Yeah.
and openly support Israel.
Right.
To which he probably will say no, but that's part of the negotiation that's been going on regarding Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. Trump is also talking in the background to a lot of the area countries. If that goes through, then it could embolden Jordan to say, okay, we're just going to back off control. Because currently Jordan controls the Temple Mount in many ways through the Waqf.
Mm-hmm.
So if that were to happen and Israel gained full control, a lot of things might change on the Temple Mount with regard to usage of certain buildings.
Yeah. Looking now, because I'd flagged a story here. There was a story that came out last week that was published by Middle East Eye that claimed that the U.S. and Israel were working to end Jordan's control over the Temple Mount by removing the Waqf from its role as custodian of the sites on the Temple Mount. This is so-called status quo. That's what they call it in Israel. Jordan, through the Waqf, has controlled the Temple Mount since the 1920s. When Israel captured the Temple Mount in 1967, the ruling, the government of Israel at the time in 67 was essentially socialist and mostly secular. Mm-hmm. So Moshe Dayan, the prime minister at the time, don't think it was gold in my ear at the time.
No, I don't think it was Dayan.
She was in 73.
And he told them, because I think one of the soldiers went up to raise an Israeli flag.
Yes.
And he said, take that down.
Exactly. To Dayan, the Temple Mount was just a historical interest, no special religious significance. So he decided to say, well, look, we're not going to declare, political sovereignty over it. And they negotiated with the government of Jordan. So the Waqf controls what goes on inside the Dome of the Rock, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and so on. And Israel provides physical security through the Israeli police. According to this story, the plan, which was being pushed by Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Mike Huckabee, our ambassador to Israel, would replace the Waqf with a new government, with a new body backed by the government of Israel that would declare the Al-Aqsa Mosque a multi-faith center.
Yeah, that wouldn't be problematic at all, would it?
Under the proposed arrangement, Jews would be granted special, or rather equal access to the Muslim site and also be formally allowed to conduct large group Jewish prayers on the Temple Mount. So you could have Jews going up to the Temple Mount and praying. Right now, nobody is supposed to be able to pray up there, well, except for Muslims. That's okay.
Yeah.
Christians were not supposed to be able to do it, although we've kind of done it.
We've done it and never gotten called out. However, Derek and I actually held hands and kissed once, and we were called out for that.
We were scolded, yes. This is a sacred site. That's not allowed.
What are you talking about? We didn't figure and then find out, he means to kiss.
Yeah. According to the Middle East Eye, and they were citing Israeli, Jordanian, and American officials who preferred to remain anonymous, and with knowledge of the matter, or sources familiar, as they say, that there's been a paper on this, on the future of the mosque as they envision it. It says a Western official and a source briefed by the Jordanian government said that Arab countries could be granted rotational oversight of the complex. According to two Gulf Arab sources and another source familiar with Jordanian thinking, Saudi Arabia is opposed to the proposal. Well, of course. Jordan and Saudi Arabia have pretty close ties, which is interesting because King Abdullah, as the last remaining Hashemite king, he's descendant of which is interesting because Hashem means the name.
The name, yes, I know. It's another name for Jesus.
Right.
I know they don't worship Jesus Christ at all.
There were 3 Hashemite kings after World War I. King of Jordan, king of Syria, and the king of Iraq. Mm-hmm. And the Syrian king was overthrown by the French in 1924. And the king of Iraq was overthrown by a military coup in the 50s. So King Abdullah is the last one standing. But the father of the first 3 Hashemite kings was the Sharif of Mecca, who was overthrown by King Ibn Saud, which turned Arabia into Saudi Arabia. So you would think there'd be a little family tension between the Saudis
You'd think so.
and the Hashemites, but they are allied. Anyway, you got to read all the way down the article
It's always that way.
at Middle East Eye, because you go through all of this stuff about, the potential problems and logistics and blah, blah, blah. Saudis are opposed. Jordanians don't want to give it up. Mm-hmm. Very last line says, sources inside the White House denied the report and called it completely false. Mm-hmm. But of course, the story's out there now, and it's getting people all upset in the Middle East.
I know, because most people don't read past the first or second paragraph, assuming they read it all. They just look at the headline in many cases. But my question is, why the Al-Aqsa? Because if you're going to move in a direction of Abraham Accords,
right,
the Dome of the Rock it covers the rock where Abraham is reportedly, where he tried to...
But I'll bet that's exactly why. Because Jews, especially the Orthodox and ultra-Orthodox, would never set foot there. Because they won't step on a place that might be the site of the Holy of Holies.
Well...
but the Al-Aqsa must.
No, let me finish this. Because allegedly, we have to say, the Temple Institute planned to build a 3rd temple. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly where they would build it.
Yeah, after proper consecration.
Exactly. If they assume that that's where the Holy of Holies was,
right,
over that rock, then that's where you would build it.
Got to have a red heifer.
Yes.
And the ones at Shiloh have been...
No, I realize all of that.
Okay.
And that's why I say, allegedly, the Temple Institute plans to do that. But if that's the deal, then why even try to take over the Al-Aqsa?
Well, again, if you're going to make it a multi-faith site and Jews are going to visit it, that's not going to put anyone in danger of stepping onto the Holy of Holies.
Yeah, I kind of understand that, but you and I have friends that won't even go onto past certain steps on the Temple Mount. There's no way they would approach the Al-Aqsa. They don't even go on to most of the background. Kuti, Ben David, who had measured it out, and he was pretty sure he knew the edge of the original Temple Mount and maybe even the temple itself. And so he would step up on this one step, and he said, I can't go any farther.
Right.
But you can go, and he explained to us what he thought, where he thought it might be. And so we were able to do some investigating that way on our own. But he is a very faithful and observant Jew, and but others won't even go that close.
Yeah.
So I don't think they would get close to the Al-Aqsa.
The official... whoever the high chief rabbi of, basically they got signs when you go to the Temple Mount. The Jews are not allowed to set foot on the Temple Mount at all.
Yeah, I know. But Kuti will go so far.
Up to the steps that lead to the platform the Dome of the Rock is on. But this is why I'm looking at the satellite view here. Al-Aqsa is not on that platform.
Oh, I thought it was an area where they wouldn't go.
No, it's at the very edge. It's up against the wall.
Yeah, I realize that.
Yeah.
But I know the first time you and I went up there, they wouldn't go past, we went through the gate and that was it.
Yeah, no, there's a central area where there are steps, and you can see on the satellite view where they've got the entryways with the columns, and Al-Aqsa is outside that area. So that's why I'm thinking
Oh,
that
okay.
might be a multi-faith area.
Well, that could be. Yeah, that could be.
But getting back to what we said before about this being problematic,
Yeah.
Al-Aqsa is the mosque that they really consider, the sacred one. Dome of the Rock, yes, that sits over the...
Oh, I know. But the truth is that most of them genuinely, they don't really think of it as sacred. Let's think of the young men
playing soccer.
playing
inside
soccer in some of those
and bringing
mosques.
weapons inside the Dome of the Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knocked on the door of the Dome of the Rock.
Yeah, I know you did. Our guide said, go up there, go up there, knock on the door.
See if
so Derek went up there and...
Yeah, I knocked, and I knocked loudly.
And I'm glad no one answered.
No one answered, but I could hear them praying inside. So.
Yeah.
There are those who believe, by the way, there's a smaller little dome called the Cupola. Cupola? How do you pronounce that?
Cupola?
Cupola. Thank you.
Dome of the Chain?
Dome of the Chain. But on the map it says the cupola of the chain.
Yeah.
There are those who believe that is marks the site of the Holy of Holies. The rock, the foundation stone, is inside the Dome of the Rock.
I think David Flynn believed the Dome of the Chain is where the Holy of Holies was. In his book, The Temple at the Center of Time.
Speaking of time, I need to find a way to fold space so I can get more time to just read. That's one of the books that I have not yet done. Just so we're clear, by the way, on the idea of the third temple, we do not believe that the third temple is needed as Christians. We only talk about it because it is a window into what other faith groups, Jews, Muslims, believe.
Right.
There are some Christians that are very eager to see the third temple built, but the third temple won't be built until the temple described by Ezekiel in Ezekiel 40 is built, which, as Mike Heiser pointed out, interestingly enough, doesn't have a roof.
I know. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. There's no roof on that temple. How about that? By the way, just noticed in this story, because I was looking at this article at Charisma Magazine, or their online news site, Charisma News, referred to the podcast that Mondo Gonzalez of Prophecy Watchers produces.
Oh, yes.
There is an ad for a new book coming out by Jonathan Cahn called The Altar of Pergamon.
Oh.
The Mystery of the Dark Angel and the Future of the World.
Altar of Pergamon was in Berlin for a while.
It still is.
Part of it. Not all of it, only part of it.
I thought they disassembled the whole thing in
They
1932.
disassembled what existed.
Oh, okay.
But it had actually had 4 sides.
Okay, so
What
what's
they
in
have
Berlin
is-
only shows 3. Yeah. But it's got the interesting depiction, the wonderful artwork depicting the Gigantomachy, the War of the Giants with the gods.
Yeah, with snaky legs.
Yeah. But the point is that was the great altar of Zeus that Jesus referred to in Revelation 2, verse 13. I know where you live, where Satan dwells.
Yes.
Satan equals Zeus equals Baal.
And Hitler wanted that power.
Well, it may have helped him come to power, but they moved it in 32 before Hitler came to power.
Hitler was still around. He was still...
Behind the scenes, yeah.
Yeah, he was very much behind the scenes. But the spirit behind that whole movement...
Right, yes.
That's the thing. The peering into darkness, it's more than just geopolitics. It's theopolitics.
Correct, yes. So, yeah, a lot of things going on in the world and pieces being moved into position.
Very quickly, you and I were talking to Joe Horn the other day, and he was discussing the challenges since his father, the late, great Thomas Horn, passed on to glory. It has, I got to say, Joe Horn is amazing, the entire Horn family. We so respect them. We love everything they're doing. We just are absolutely in their corner, supporting them in every way we
100%.
1,000% to the infinity degree. Joe was talking about the challenges, and he said, it's difficult to focus on everything that he's doing and everything he would like to do. But he feels like the Lord is trying to get him to focus on certain things, Whispering Ponies Ranch being one of the big, big targets. And Joe has a sense, and I think he may be right, that perhaps we all need to focus because Jesus is coming back very soon.
I get that sense too, and that's why sometimes I get frustrated when I can't get things done that I
know. What's going on with you, and we can get to the OG report here in a minute, it's fatiguing. You deal with chronic fatigue sometimes, so it's just such a fatigue, it's almost palpable. And I can just almost see you crash when it hits you.
Yeah, yesterday it was the first time it really hit me hard in a while, but we
had a really big
lunch.
We'd gone to a gathering over at the Whispering Ponies Ranch because their season begins tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
So we were praying for one another, and about 40 of us sitting in the room, really, really praying and talking and sharing and having some pizza. And when we got home, I could see you had to take a nap for a while. You had to take a nap so you had the energy to go to bed. I mean, it's that fatiguing.
In a sense, that was what was going on.
And I can relate to that.
And then sadly, we had some smoke detectors in the back.
Oh my gosh!
Back rooms that started bleeping.
It's a first world problems.
Yeah.
We, for whatever reason, all of the sensors on. We have 6 stations for smoke detectors in the house, and the sensors in every one of them, all the same brand, only 2 years old, supposed to have lasted for 10.
Right.
They were all going out. So I've taken them all, removed them all from their little housing in the ceiling, and we've bought replacements. Just need to get somebody out here, probably our contractor, and see if he can put their little collars, because the new ones do not fit the collar in the ceilings.
I know, it's frustrating. You'd think that would fit, like, okay, let's standardize these for
Oh, no. We're not going to do that. You
junction
can't
box
switch.
size.
No,
that goes
you
into
can't
the ceiling.
switch. This is a different brand.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Anyway, it was, it's because my metabolism has gone into hyperdrive. It seems like every time I get sick, it has really fueled a jump in my metabolism as my body is fighting. On the one hand, it's my immune system is attacking the nerves and the muscles in my extremities. And on the other hand, I'm taking supplements and exercising to build muscle back up and trying to eat a lot of protein. And so the metabolism is fighting this war in my lower legs and my hands, which is just results in me running out of gas by late afternoon and sleeping 9 to 11 hours a night.
Though, I think if you were not supplementing and have not been supplementing, I've been trying for 10 years to get healthy and stay healthy, and we take a lot of vitamins and minerals, and we use Celtic salt, and we really do a lot of things that are right.
Yeah.
And despite that, you are dealing with all these things. So if we hadn't been doing those things, you probably would be much worse.
I think that is. I think that's true. So thankful for that, because if I were trying to do all of this and carrying an extra 50 pounds around, it would be really, really difficult.
Oh yeah, same thing here, an extra 120 pounds. Not
to mention the muscle wasting that I experienced, which really prompted the testosterone replacement therapy that I started more than a year ago, which put 20 pounds back on very quickly and came back as muscle.
So we are in the OG report. Derek had his bone marrow biopsy done. Some of the results are back. The interpretation is not yet in from the doctor. So once that report comes in, he'll have a better idea of where we go from here. More than likely, it's going to be, okay, you don't really have this, or this, and we'll keep an eye on it. Yeah, I'm guessing that from just the data that's come back.
Right, the preliminary results seem to confirm what the hematologist oncologist was said to me, that the low level of the strange protein that's in my blood did not really concern him, but we needed to rule things out. And it would appear that the bone marrow biopsy plus the other tests that have been done confirm what he had said, which is that we're not looking at something really serious. It's probably what doctors refer to as MGUS, which means
It's probably Joe Horn.
multiple gammopathy of unknown significance. Actually, it's Jack.
Oh, he mows our lawn, and he's a really, really good friend.
Well, let me get that real quick. I'll just pause this. Well, we've got next week's lawn mowing scheduled with Jack, so we can resume. Anyway, the OG report basically, that I think we've already summarized it.
I think we have, and we'll get into that again tomorrow. We want to remind you that we've got our calendar at gilberthouse.org, where you will see all of our upcoming conferences, and one of those is in early July. You want to make sure that you hit the notification bell on this YouTube account for that, because you will get to participate in that live.
Yeah.
So be sure to, also Derek's going to be doing a test run for that. So you will be notified of that live event as well. And you want to be in on that so you can chat with your friends. It's a great way to make friends across the world there in the chat room.
Right.
So do that. Also, if you would keep praying for us, we appreciate that.
Yep.
Substack.com is where you can follow me, Sharon K. Gilbert. Also, Giants, Gods, and Dragons has a Substack account if you're interested in getting to read, frankly, our books for free.
Yeah, we've gone through about 7 3/4 books now at this point.
Yeah.
Gilberthouse.substack.com. Sharon's releasing excerpts from her
The Red Wing Saga series, but also Armageddon Strain and Winds of Evil, which are part of Laodicea Chronicles. But I kind of went from Pray For Us to that. Sorry, my brain just shifted gears really fast. But we do appreciate all of your prayers, and many of you help out financially as well. And, look, you are family to us. And if you need something, if you have a special prayer request of your own, send it to info@gilberthouse.org. We pray for you guys anyway. We don't know you by name always, but we do include everybody who follows in this big old PID Radio / Gilbert House family.
We've been doing this for 21 years, and there are some of you we know by name who've been with us since those early days, and we truly, truly appreciate
crazy people. You poor people.
So, yes, I think summarizing very quickly, yes, the upcoming events, you can find the calendar both in our app under the calendar section and at gilberthouse.org. You'll find that there.
Yeah.
And
if you need a cat or kittens.
info@gilberthouse.org.
Yep.
Cat with kittens.
Yeah.
Bonus points.
Tortoiseshell cat with kittens.
Yep. Tomorrow night, A View from the Bunker, it is Iron and Myth number 50 as Doug Van Dorn and Brian Godawa. Brian, drawing on his experience as a Hollywood screenwriter, we discuss vampires, which is how I remembered Proverbs 30:15 from earlier on.
And I heard a rumor that he wore the new Iron and Myth T-shirt.
He did. And in fact, Doug and I were like, oh, yeah, I guess I forgot to wear ours. But those will be available at the Springfield conference coming up later this summer. And so you'll get a chance to preview the new design and also hear about, vampire in the Bible, Proverbs 30, verse 15.
Yeah.
And also how they are depicted in film and on TV, and how we as Christians should process that kind of entertainment through a biblical lens. Tomorrow morning, book of First Enoch, as we continue through the book of parables, and we hope you join us for that. And until then, I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert. We love you guys so very, very much. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye, everybody.
PID Radio is on the air. Politics, prophecies, and conspiracy. Peering into darkness is what we do.